Welcome back, everybody, to my annual October ranking series. This year I'm counting down my 31 favorite horror movies from the 2010s. At number 18, we have a horror movie that was originally released on Netflix, and that is The Ritual.
It's been gutted. Could be hunters out here. Bait, possibly. Or it's the bit they don't show you in the nature documentary. It's a warning.
There's both good and bad when it comes to streaming services. Like I said at the very beginning when I first started talking about this, one, there are, you can come across more gems in the horror genre, but there are movies that have come out on streaming that I would love to have a physical copy of. And The Ritual is definitely one of those movies that I wish I could get like a physical copy of it so I could see the behind-the-scenes stuff and watch more about this movie. This film has elements of folk horror with sprinklings of cosmic horror, with elements of a monster movie. This is a fantastic, dark horror movie that I think fits perfectly well with Halloween. It's a movie that deals with survivor's guilt. Our main character is named Luke, and him and his friends used to get together all the time, and one night he gets together with a bunch of his friends, and he and one of his buddies go into a liquor store to get some more booze. And during that time, the store is robbed, and Luke freezes. He freezes because he's afraid of this situation, and his friend ends up getting killed. So that creates tension within the friend group, but then he and his remaining friends end up going to Sweden because their friend who is now dead always wanted to go to Sweden. So they end up going to Sweden to honor their friend, and they start backpacking through the woods of Sweden. It's four friends, Luke and three other friends, and as it goes, as they go through the woods, they start learning that something is stalking them, and there seems to be this weird supernatural thing happening in the woods, and it eventually leads to a cult and a monster. Those are mild spoilers there, but I'm not giving away too much. I'm just giving you a taste to get you interested in seeing the film.
Where the hell are we, Hutch?
We should pitch the tents.
This is ridiculous, man.
Luke, you're getting soaked.
You hear that?
No, I didn't hear anything. Come on.
The best way I can describe The Ritual is it's kind of like if the Blair Witch were not a found footage movie and stuff actually happened. Now, let me make it clear, I like The Blair Witch and I have a lot of respect for that movie because it did so much with so little and told this really interesting story without showing that much. But The Ritual kind of deals with the same thing. A group of friends getting lost in the woods, and every night something supernatural happens, which is similar to the Blair Witch Project, but a lot more happens in The Ritual. And like I said at the beginning of this video, there's elements of folk horror and there's elements of cosmic horror, and there is a creature in the woods, and I don't want to spoil what the creature looks like, but you eventually see the monster, and then you learn more about it, and you learn more about like this cult that worships the monster. It's very, very interesting stuff. While I don't want to spoil the design of the monster, what I will say is that this is an exception to the rule that I like. You know, like I'm someone that when it comes to movies, I don't like speaking in absolutes. But you know me, I'm a guy who likes simplicity in my horror movies. I like simple stories with my horror movies, and I like, when it comes to the designs of your monsters, I like simple designs when it comes to monsters. I think they can be more effective. I have no problem with complex designs, but for me, a complex creature design can be more cool than scary. And I think simpler designs can be more scary than cool. And when it comes to monsters in horror movies, I would rather they be simple and scary than complex and cool. That's just me. But there are exceptions to that rule. I always say there are always exceptions. And the creature in The Ritual is an exception to that rule. It has a more complex design, but that complex design works because there are elements when you only see parts of the creature and you don't understand what you're looking at, but then you see a part of the creature, but then you'll see another part that doesn't make sense with whatever anatomy that this creature could be. So while it's building up to the eventual reveal of the creature, your mind is running wild, like, what the hell does this thing look like? And I do think the design is great. Again, I'm not going to spoil what it looks like in this video. You should really see the movie for yourself. The design is very good. It has a great silhouette, because there are moments when you see it like up against thing and you just see the dark figure of this creature. And yes, like I said, it is the exception to my rule of simplicity, being more scary when it comes to creature designs. This is a more complex creature design, but it works and it is very creepy.
Oh my God!
And I love the fact that there is elements of Scandinavian mythology in this movie. I'm a fan of Norse mythology and Scandinavian mythology and stuff like that. And there are elements of Scandinavian mythology throughout this horror movie. I do wish there were more, like, horror movies based around Norse mythology and Scandinavian mythology. I can only think of a few. Things like Troll and the Draugr, this movie, and I do believe there are more, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. But there are not much. There aren't many horror movies based on Norse mythology, Viking mythology, and Scandinavian mythology. And I think we should have more of those, because Scandinavian mythology has plenty of creatures that would make for fantastic horror movies. That's something I really believe, not just with Scandinavian mythology, but mythology from around the world. In Scandinavia, in America, Europe, Asia, all these places, Africa, all these places, they all have creatures in their mythology, or spirits in their mythology, or, heroes in their mythology, and other things that would make for fantastic movies and fantastic horror movies. And I wish we would get more horror movies based on mythology.
I woke up last night. Look at this.
Nothing has done that to you. You've done it to yourself.
Why do you have to deny everything I say?
Because I do not value your judgment.
We need to be working together, man.
But you do feel for the characters in this movie. You understand all the angles. You have Luke, who is dealing with survivor's guilt, and then you have the rest of his friends who are kind of on the outs with him because his friend did die. And there are elements where Luke and the others believe that Luke could have done something, but he froze. But you never know what could have happened. He behaves in a way that many people would have in that situation. Some people just freeze when things like that happen. And so no one's really to blame, but you can understand the tension between this group, and then that tension is then replaced with the tension, or is then joined by the tension of something being after you in the woods. But then we get into the third act. It's a great third act. There's fantastic build-up throughout this movie. There's some great tension throughout the film. There's fantastic atmosphere throughout this film. It's filmed in the woods, and there are so many trees in this woods that even though you're out in the wild, the movie still manages to feel claustrophobic because of the amount of trees that are around you. So yeah, you're outdoors in the woods, but because of the amount of trees, you're still able to feel claustrophobic, and that is fantastic. The Ritual, yes, such a good horror movie. You could probably still find it on Netflix. I don't know if you can find it somewhere else, but look for it and give this movie a watch. I wish it had a hard copy somewhere of like a Blu-ray or DVD or 4K, whatever. I wish it would have a physical release. But anyway, The Ritual, such a great horror movie with such good atmosphere. I think this movie has perfect atmosphere for a movie that you can watch during October.
What the fuck is that?
Fucking hell, we don't know where we are!